Hi, welcome and thanks for stopping by. I'm Narsh from Narsh's Art, and today I'm going to do a tutorial on how to draw this crazy mythological creature from ancient Egyptian times called a Serpopard. And if you listen to the name Serpopard, you can kind of hear it's got serp, which is serpent, and pard, which is the end bit of leopard. So it's got a leopard body, like a serpent's head and neck, and sometimes the head can look a bit serpenty and a bit leopardy. This amazing object here is a very, very famous artifact from ancient Egypt called Kingnamas palette. If you're lucky enough to get to Egypt, you can go to the Cairo Museum and see it there, or you can go to the British Museum in London and you can see a copy of this there. So I'm going to talk you through a couple of things on this because there are serpopods on here that we can see. Okay, let's take a quick look at this side. We have the large central figure of King Narmer. He has his hand raised and in it is a mace because he's about to smash the head of his enemy, showing he's a great and powerful king of Egypt that protects Upper Egypt from its enemies. You can also see that he is under the watchful eye of the god Horus. In his falcon form, you can see that at the top, looking over and protecting and sort of making sure that the king is doing his kingly duties. If we turn this around to look at the other side, that's where we'll be able to spot this amazing mythical creature that we are after. So let's take a look now at the other side. Okay, so on this side, we can see towards the top, on the other side, King Narmer walking along wearing the crown of Lower Egypt. On the other side, he was wearing the crown of Upper Egypt. So it could be showing that King Narmer, by wearing both crowns, maybe either in real life or in his desires, he united both kingdoms of Upper and Lower Egypt. Behind him there's a little figure of a servant holding his sandals, and on the other side to him are all the dead bodies of the vanquished foes that King Narmer has so bravely got rid of, saving Egypt and making Egypt as strong as it is. However, if you look down a bit, you probably have already spotted our serpopods. You can see that their heads are intertwined and there are two men restraining the heads or holding them back. This is said to represent chaos. This creature represents chaos. Some experts say, although no one quite has decided yet, some experts say that this artifact may represent or show the kingly duties of restoring order to Egypt. To draw my Serpopard, I'm going to start with the head. I'm going to snake round in a lovely curve and then get the leopard body and tail down here. So I'm going to start nearer the top and inside a bit and begin with the head. In fact, I'm going to start with the forehead. So I'm going to do a curved line like a little hill, a valley and a hill. Hill, valley, hill. And I'm going to give it leopard ears. Leopards have quite curvaceous ears. There we are. And now I'm going to go along the side of the head on one side, and I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. And you can see I've left a gap in the middle. So across that gap, I'm going to do an inverted curve up, like that. And from there is going to emerge the snake tongue with a fork at the end. There we are. All right, let's get the details on the face now. So I'm going to go along with the nose. And again, a bit like the hill, valley, hill, I'm going to do a mini version of that for the top of the nose. There we are. Curve it round underneath and down towards the top lip, and again on the other side, like that. From each side of the nostril, I'm going to curve up towards the eye, one side and then the other. I'm going to zoom in a little bit so that you can see. All right, let's get the eyes in. Serpopards are supposed to have these cruel, sort of red, burning eyes. So I'm going to make them this sort of shape, very slanted. And lastly, I want to get the jaw in here. So I'm going to curve up and round. And again on the other side, up and round. We may as well get that little pupil that serpents have. All right, now for the neck and then the body. So I'm going to start on this side by this ear and curve round, because that will be become the front of this chest. So I'm going to go behind the ear and really enjoy this lovely big curve, and I'm going to stop that there. I'm going to go on the other side behind this ear now and make sure that when I do that curve, try not to get too thin or too fat. So curving all the way around. And this is the bit where I'm going to do a little valley and then a hill, because I want that sort of muscle that leopards have just sort of after their neck and before their back. So I'm going to do a valley and then a small hill. And I'll leave that there for a minute. Okay. So the next step is to go along the back and the rump and get the tail in. So I'm going to gently curve along the back and up a bit for the rump, down and curve round with a little lump on the end, maybe a tuft of fluff for the tail, and gradually get a little fatter towards the rump. Then we need the back leg. So I'm going to let the tail come in and come back down a bit to get the back leg, and curve out to the heel, down, and then we want large pads for the feet. Straight up again and curve in for this big muscle, this thigh muscle. Now, leopards have quite a slender stomach, and then it comes thicker where their chest is and their lungs. So I'm going to do that now. But I'm going to stop here because I want to also get that front leg in. So I'm going to stop around here and do the chest and curve up for the stomach. We can now get the back leg in. So I'm going to come just along a bit along the stomach, curve down, kind of diagonal here. Big, large pads. Fairly straight back up with a ankle and then round. Now we want to get a bit of muscle for that front leg over the body. So I'm going to start about here and curve down all the way to the bottom of the paw. Get the big, huge, exaggerated pads. And I'm going to join the chest down straight for the front of the leg. We can just get a hint of the other front leg hiding behind and the big pad of it. There we are. There we have our Serpopard. So I'm going to add some colour to my Serpopard and probably some patterns as well. The first thing I want to do is, I found this very cool leopard snake I didn't know existed. Another name for it is a rat snake. It's endemic to Europe and parts of Asia. So I'm going to create a line that runs along the middle of this and slowly touches this area here. I'll show you what I mean. It's easy to do in pencil first, just to make sure that it looks how I want it to look. And then I can go over it in pen. This leopard snake has these lovely patterns that run along the top of its back. So I need to show that line, which then will turn into this area here, so that I can get the pattern along the right place. So I'm going to now carefully go over that with pen. And now I'm going to get that pattern shape, because I kind of want it to start scaly or snaky and then turn into leopardy. But I do want this pattern running all the way down. So like that. Might even be that they start smaller. And they might get a bit bigger down here. Mythology has it that Serpopards are about 20 feet tall. It's about 6 meters in height. So I guess, what would a person be if it was 6 meters? Somewhere down here. So they're supposed to be quite huge creatures. And from what I understand, ancient Egyptians believed that these creatures existed outside of the borders of the Nile. So even though they had a symbology about them, or they represented chaos, they also believed that they existed. I imagine it would be very chaotic if one of these creatures decided to attack you. I wonder what sound they would make as well. Leopards make a growl, a purr when they're happy, and a sort of what's described as like a cough when they are asserting their territory or letting other leopards know that they are there. So how would you mix a growl with a hiss? is my question. Or would there be a rattle on the end of the tail and it would warn other creatures that way? Interesting thought. I think he'd look good with some scales, but I'm not sure how to turn scales into fur. So in order to separate the two areas, I'm going to give him a ring on his neck. I'm going to curve that line and maybe do it double. Could be a piece of jewellery even that he's wearing. And I'm going to do scales up to here, and then it will be more leopard print from there on. Okay, so the scales, I'm going to do them in pencil first and then go over them in pen. So I'm going to do curved lines. I might zoom in a little bit here. So I'm going to do curved lines going this way, and I'm going to avoid these patterns, so there's not going to be scales in these patterns, just because I think it looks interesting. I'll show you what's going to become of this. So once I've done all the scales going, all the lines going that way, I then do curves going this way. And they're not quite scales, but they give me these little sort of shapes that I want that could look like scales. So I'm going to carry that on and fill this whole area up with scales. So I've got some double-sided felt tip pens. I guess you could use any felt tips for this. And I'm going to colour these patterns down the spine of the Serpopard. I'm going to use orange because the European rat snake or leopard snake that I saw, that was the same. They were a lovely kind of orange colour. So I'm going to do that next. I want to focus on the leopard print now. And when I look at pictures of leopards, there are areas of their body where the background of their fur has a little bit of colour. So I'm going to use like a pale colour, like a yellow ochre, and just colour in certain areas in that. And then I will do the leopard print pattern over it. So if we look at leopard skin, it's got rosettes, and each rosette is different. It's like a group of 5 or 6 black dots surrounding a central, slightly darker colour. So I'm going to have a go now doing that. On the Serpopard's body. So we've got a few black dots, surrounding a darker too dark. I wonder what this is like. Yeah, that looks good. So I'm going to do that now all over its body. I'll show you once more. So a few black dots, 1, 2, even 4, and a couple joined up, something like that. And then the darker colour inside. You can fill up the body with that. So as you can see, I decided to fill in the whole of the leopard's body, the Serpopard's body, with this background colour. I just think it looks better. But I'm loving the body now with all the detail, and I'm feeling like I really want to do some detail in each of the scales. It does take ages, but it's quite fun to do. I'm going to use a much smaller pen. If you're doing this, you could really use a very sharp pencil or maybe a ballpoint pen, something that's very fine, and you can have a go doing the patterns inside each of the scale. I'll show you close up what they look like. So let me talk you through it. I do a little circle in the middle of the scale, and I'm going to do like a tiny petal, just 4, going in each of the directions, north, south, east and west. And I'm going to fill every scale up, and I know it's going to take ages and it's a bit insane, but I reckon it's going to look amazing. I just want to quickly mention the different size pens that I used. So most good large stationery shops sell microns and unipin, and you can get them in different sizes. So I drew the whole Serpopard outline with the 0.5. I then did the larger detail on his neck with 0.2, and then I did the really fine detail with this 0.3. And you can see, if I open both of them, just how small the 0.03 is compared to the other pen I used to draw the main Serpopard. I'm going to go ahead now and do a red, deep red tongue. Often snake's tongues aren't actually red, but I feel that in this instance the red is going to look a bit more dramatic. And then we know that Serpopards have red eyes, so I've got a slightly brighter red here for the red eyes. And I'm thinking now about the scales and whether a light green would be quite good. So I'm going to just have a little think about that. So I think yellow and green would add a bit of interest and contrast with the body and be a bit more snake-like. So I'm using yellow and I'm just carefully going over the flowers. And after that I'm going to add some green, I think, as well, to bring out that snake-like quality to the head and neck. So what I'm doing here is I added a darker green, and around it I'm adding a lighter green, and it's where all the scales meet at the corners. Hope that makes sense. Hopefully it will bring out the drama of the neck and all the detailed patterns that's going on. I'm adding the darker green to the four corners, and then here doing the light green around it, avoiding the flowers where I need to. There's another bit missing, so dark green in the corners and light green around it. So I'm just going to keep on doing that now, all the way along the neck. So the last bit left to do is the head and the face. So I'm going to bring the green down just a little bit into the head, as if he's got maybe scaly armour on his forehead to protect him. And then I'm going to use the same background colour for his face, so that it kind of matches. It looks like a combination of the neck and the body all in the face. I hope this tutorial has been something that you've really enjoyed. If you like drawing mythical creatures, I've also got a tutorial on how to draw a dragon, which people seem to have enjoyed using. And if you're really into sort of Egyptology, I've got a tutorial on how to mummify an apple, and another one on how to draw Horus, which has a lot of interesting information about the ancient Egyptian god Horus as well. Right, probably just some red for the mouth. I think we'll go with the same kind of red as the tongue, just in there. And then I'm not sure what to do for the nose. Do I do the nose black? Some leopards have black noses and some leopards have pink noses. Decisions. Or maybe dark brown. Perhaps I'll use dark brown for the nose. Let's try this. See how that looks. Yeah. There we are. I'm just going to do some dots in the ears as well. Alright, so there we have our Serpopard. Please like and subscribe if you loved this video. Your support is greatly appreciated. You can also find me on Insta at Narsh Art.